Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So some things in life were meant to happen. Not everything is random. Some stuff is fate. I truly believe that shit. There's a good book about coincidences and whether they're random or whether it's predestined. And it's just a short novel. It's called Celestine Prophecies. It's a fun story. I'm not going to get into the plot. You can go pick it up. It's not a long book. It's easy to read. But it will really put this idea in your mind if you're questioning it at all. And it's not religious or not going to try to indoctrinate you in any way. It's just a story, adventure story, mystery. But I learned a long time ago, through my own experiences and my own adventures, that there was something larger going on. There's some sort of plan that's meant for me, that there is a certain aspect of fate. Not everything is a coincidence. I'll tell you a little story about it. When I was living up in Santa Cruz, California in the mid-90s, I was a heavy drinker, drug user. I had all kinds of problems. I used to go to the bars every single night. 7 nights a week I was in the bars. Many times I would show up to the bar right after work. I did landscaping, so we would try to wake up early, get shit done, 6, 7 o'clock, work till about 3. I would hit happy hour around 3, 3:30. I would stay from happy hour through closing. Bars closed at 2 a.m. I'd be there longer than the bartender's shift. They'd switch bartenders while I was hanging out there. I'd do that all the time. I'd get free drinks. Just leave a tip, so you're drinking for free as long as you leave $1 or $2 for tip. I spend all my money on drinks. Get drunk as shit every single night. And I'd get in fights. I liked to fight. I loved it. I was good at it. People naturally gravitate towards what they're good at, and I had anger issues anyways. And I loved fighting. I'd fight anybody. If by midnight I didn't have some chick that I was going to go home with and sleep with on a one-night stand, I'd just look around the room, pick somebody out, and go and fuck with them. Well, in that kind of lifestyle, I ended up with many rivalries. And one of these rivalries was with this guy named George. I'll never forget George. Me and George must have fought, geez, I can't even count. We fought countless times, many times, over nothing. I honestly, to this day, don't really remember what any of our fights were about. But we would duke it out. In fact, we hated each other. We were mortal enemies. And we had a fight on sight rule. So every time I saw George, didn't matter where it was, I had to fight him. And I wanted to fight him. I don't care if I was at breakfast with my mother. I don't care if I'm walking down the street with the goddamn Pope. If I saw George, I'm going to beat his ass. And vice versa. And we saw each other at random points anywhere in town all the time. Well, I eventually moved out of Santa Cruz and moved down to Los Angeles, back down to Southern California, where I liked it better. A little bit more affordable, a lot more opportunity. I was living in Los Angeles, and several years went by, just kind of doing my thing in LA, and I ended up, because of a liver problem, going sober. I didn't want to go sober. I was forced to because of my health reasons, and I chose that I didn't want to die. I didn't want to have to get a liver transplant. I didn't want to be sick all the time, and I had gotten really sick. So the party was over. Those were the exact words that the doctors told me, and I went sober. And I was trying to get my shit together just in an overall way. I was going to church. I was reading all kinds of different philosophies, psychology, even religion. I was just exploring all kinds of various thought. I was going to the gym, trying to work out more. I enrolled myself in college. I wanted a college degree. I went to college and got a college degree much later in life. I was like 28 or something when I went back to college. And I didn't go out of high school. So I was doing all this stuff to try to just better myself. And when I was up on the campus at Santa Monica College, very beautiful campus, I met this chick by one of the hot dog stands. They got little vending food stuff all over. And we started talking. And I was just trying to get down her pants, just trying to hit on her. And the topic of being sober came up. And I told her, I don't drink. And I was 6 months or so sober. And she said, do you go to AA or NA? You know, Alcoholic Anonymous or Narcotic Anonymous. Do you go to any kind of 12-step process? And I was just like, fuck no. I don't do any of that kind of shit. Because I didn't really vibe on that kind of community. But I'd never been to any kind of those meetings. And she said, well, you've never been to a meeting. You might like it. We should go. And I just looked at it as a first date. She wants to go to one of these. I don't care where she wants to go. I'll go with her. I'm just trying to get down her pants. She was cute. So we met that Friday night, whenever it was. Maybe it was a Saturday night. I think it was a Friday. Up in Hollywood. I didn't live up in Hollywood. I lived down in Culver City at the time. But I drove 20 minutes up to Hollywood to meet this chick at the AA meeting. At the time, they had 2 AA meetings in Hollywood. One that was supposed to be the cool one, and one that was the boring one. I wanted to go to the boring one, because I don't need no fucking cool meeting. I don't even know what that means. I'm not part of your community, so I don't know what the fuck that means. But she wanted to go to the cool one. So we went to the cool one. I showed up a little bit early, because I'm never late for shit. That's a rule I have, and that's a rule that people should follow. I believe that everyone should. Never be late for anything. It's a character flaw. I'm early for everything. Doesn't matter if it's a job interview, an appointment, no matter what it is. I'm never late. And traffic is never an excuse. There's no excuse. So I'm there early, scoping the scene out. And I'm standing there, and this little short fat guy comes over to me, and he tries to get me to sit in a certain section. He's like, oh, hey, brother, you're new here, I can tell. Why don't you come and sit over here? This is where all the cool people sit. So I'm at the cool meeting, and he wants me to sit in the cool section. That's double cool, right? Well, I didn't really know where I wanted to sit. I wanted to stand in the back until the chick showed up, and we can both decide where to sit. She goes to the meeting all the time. I went to go sit over by the wall in the corner, and the little fat guy tells me, oh, no, that's where the spiritual people sit. Like, scoffing at it. Like the spiritual people are all a bunch of pieces of crap or something. Like, I shouldn't sit there. You don't want to sit with no spiritual motherfuckers. I don't really care. I don't know any of you. I'll probably never be back here. I'm just trying to get down this chick's pants. Well, she gets there right away, and we give a little hug, and she wants to take me to a place where she likes to sit. It just so happens we're sitting in the spiritual section. I look over, that little fat guy is just looking at me like, man, you're not sitting in the right section. I don't care. I just laughed it off. And it was a rather amusing meeting. The AA meeting was full of kind of half celebrities. Not even B-list. These were C and D-list. Certainly not A-listers. These were like people that you might have seen in a commercial. These were people that were like, not even the star of the show, but actors in sitcoms, and you may have recognized them. Oh yeah, I've seen Married with Children. So Bud Bundy, the actor who played Bud Bundy, he was there, that little short kid. Tommy Lee, I guess he's a big celebrity from Motley Crue, he was there. Kate Moss, that skinny actress that Johnny Depp used to beat up. I think it was Johnny Depp, dated her, used to beat her ass all the time, punch her out, he'd knock her out. Johnny Depp is a woman beater. And so she's there, and there's all kinds of people like that. And each one of them, these D-list, C-list celebrities, gets up to the podium, one after another, throughout the course of the evening, and tells really funny stories. It was hilarious. And they would tell, like Tommy Lee was hilarious. I mean, had the whole room roaring in laughter, telling his war stories. That's what everybody does there. They tell their war stories of how much dick they used to suck for crack, how awful a person they used to be when they did this drug or that drink, when they got drunk and this, whatever. So it was amusing. Well, we go through half hour of that, however long it was, and finally there's a break, intermission. So we go out to this outdoor area, which was enclosed, but it was attached to the building. And we're in this little outdoor, kind of nice area with benches and bushes and stuff like that. And people are kind of scattered out. All the AA people immediately start drinking coffee. 6, 7 cups of coffee, bam, 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 and smoking cigarettes. Each one of them are standing in little groups, and by their feet are mountains, not just 1 or 2, but mountains of cigarettes. They're sucking these fucking cigarettes down in 2 drags. Light another, light another. Do you have one? Do you have one, brother? Yeah, sure. Finishing whole packs off. They're all conquering addiction. So great, you know. Just transferring addiction is what I thought. But I'm just trying to get down this chick's pants, so I don't really care. So we sit down at this little quiet, cozy little bench off to the side. And there's bushes around us, a little fountain. We're sitting real close. And she's like, so tell me about yourself. So we're chatting. And then she starts asking kind of these 20 questions, as people do when they're trying to get to know each other. And one of the questions that she asked was, and it was the last question that she asked actually, she asked me, are you spiritual? And I said, yes. She says, do you go to church? I say, well, I've been sometimes. You know, I've been exploring it. And then she says, do you believe in God? Well, look, there's a rule of dating that I've always followed. You don't talk politics or religion on a first date. It's a good way to ruin shit, man. It's just, why? Why do you want to argue about politics or religion with somebody that you're trying to hook up with or trying to be with? So I tried to sidestep the question. Well, she wasn't having it. She was going to hold me to the fire. And she said, I won't be on a date with somebody who doesn't believe in God. And I was just like, look, can't we talk about this some other time? And she kept to it. Do you believe in God or not? Do you believe in a higher power or not? So I said, finally, look, I don't know. And that was just it for me. I put my foot down. I don't know. To me, that's an acceptable answer, not to her. She literally got up right there. It was like the record scratched. Party was over. She got up right there, stomped off. Just literally, bam, bam, stomping her feet and walked off. Didn't even look back. Didn't say nothing. Stomped off, left. Walked down the fucking street. Go back to her car. She left me there. And I'm just sitting there like, well, fuck. I guess I blew that. I probably should have said I believe in God. Oh, well. But I'm just being myself. I'm real. I don't like to lie. So I made the decision. I sat there for a minute wondering, should I go back in? Because I don't even want to be at this fucking meeting. These aren't my people. I'm not here for this. I'm doing fine trying to stay sober on my own. I don't need their little 12 steps. None of this bullshit. It's all silly to me. But it was an amusing time listening to those celebrities. And I was like, well, I'm already here. And I got a 25-minute drive or maybe longer back down to Culver City. So I'll just chill. Might as well. Whatever. So I go back in, sit back down. We go through the rest of the evening. And it was fairly amusing with more people getting up and telling their stupid war stories about how fucked up they used to be. Well, at the end of the meeting, and maybe this is the way it is at all AA meetings. I've only been to the one, so I don't know. But everybody sits in folding chairs, little metal folding chairs. And at the end of the meeting, what you do, and I'm just following along just by observing people, you pick up your chair and you go and put it in a rack in the back, this chair rack. It's like a long rack, and you stack the chairs in it. And it covers the whole wall. And there's a line, because there's a lot of people at this meeting. The cool meeting was packed. So I'm waiting in line to go and put my chair in the line. I get up to be the second person in the line. And there's 2 people in front of me, but they're a couple, so they're standing side by side. And they both got their chairs, they put them in, and the chick is a guy and a girl. And the chick turns around and smiles at me and introduces herself, Carol or Shelly or whoever, Karen, I don't remember what her fucking name was. And she's like, I'm Karen, nice to meet you, and gives me this big hug. Like a close hug. And she's, you know, like we're all brothers and sisters at this meeting. We're all family. Well, the boyfriend that she was with is, guess who? This motherfucker George. Remember my fight on site, buddy? It's George. He's down in LA at a fucking AA meeting. It's AA and NA, everything. And I don't know what to do. I'm hugging his fucking girl. My face goes fucking white. His face goes white. We're standing there looking at each other because we got a rule. We're supposed to fight. We don't know what to do, neither of us. I don't know if I'm supposed to swing a punch on this motherfucker or what. I have no idea what to do. I was literally like a deer in headlights. His chick turns to George, and she's like, do you know who this is, George? And George was like, yeah, that's Sky. And she's like, you know him? And he's like, yeah. He didn't know what to say. And he was like, well, I guess he's an old drinking friend. I don't know what you want to call it, you know. And he's trying to pass it off because he didn't know what to say. So I just kind of chuckle at his explanation because I'm ready to go off on him. I mean, I'm knuckling up thinking, well, this isn't the best place to knock a guy's teeth out, but we have this rule, fight on sight. And she's like, well, nice to meet you. And right then, George extends his hand, and I'm looking at his hand, to shake my hand. And I can tell he's just playing nice for his chick. He shakes my hand, and I shake his hand back. You know, we have this tight little kind of handshake. And she's like, well, nice to meet you, Sky. And they go scurrying off. George wants to get the fuck out of Dodge before I change my mind. I go back to my car, and I was kind of overwhelmed with emotion. I drove back home, completely overwhelmed and stunned at the events of the evening. I realized that I wasn't there to fuck that chick. I wasn't there because of some 12-step process. I was there for one reason only, and that was to squash the beef from the past. I was there to settle the past. I was there to get rid of the old me. That fight on sight motherfucker was dead that night. The beef with George was dead that night. I settled it, and we didn't sing Kumbaya, we didn't exchange numbers, we didn't become friends. It was settled with a fucking awkward handshake in front of his chick, but it was settled. And I realized, wow, that was one of my last real enemies. I've been looking over my shoulder for George everywhere I go for a while. And it just symbolized the end of an era. And I realized as I drove home that was why I was there. This was all meant to be. This whole fucking evening was meant to be. This was in the cards. This isn't some random shit. I don't really believe in coincidences anymore. Thanks for watching.